Hello everybody, welcome to a new quick tip video. In this video I'm gonna show you how to create shadows in an easy way in Photoshop CC. First of all, we start with styles, and we start here with this red frame. We select that and go to the styles and use the drop shadow. You can create the shadow how you like it. You can change the distance, you can blur it, you can whatever. This is all up to you. Press OK if you're happy with it. And now you can go to the other corner of your layer where this little arrow shows up or down. Click with the right mouse and go to Create Layer. Now the layer separates from the element, and your shadow is totally on a one only layer, which you can work on and change it. For that you can press now Command T, and then there shows this menu bar up here on top of your Photoshop, and there is this little icon with this what's that? It's for transformation. And now when you click on it, you can see that it shows a grid, and this grid is movable. So these are the anchor points, and you can use here those handles to move your shadow. You can move it that it's nearer or wider away. You can push it, and you can turn it how you like it. And this is all what you can do. When you separate your shadow from a layer, you can click OK, and now you have a own shadow for your frame. And if you think you need more blur on it, you can now change here, go to surface blur, and use here maybe some of those blurry effects. No, the threshold is super. So this is it. Also here, press OK. So you created now a dynamic shadow with that. Same you can do here with a flower. You can go to drop shadow. Let's make it a little bit more blurry. Make it darker. This is what you can do. You can also change here one of those contours, but for a shadow, well, it's not that necessary, so we stay on that. Click OK, go to and create a layer again, so you have the shadow again separated. Click on Command T, and here the transformation tool, and also you can here push the shadow a little bit into other directions. Maybe we move that, turn it around, and also we change here the opacity a little bit, and this is it. So you have now also here with this flower a more dynamic shadow. If you have those two layers, don't forget to link them together so the shadow and the flower doesn't get lost together. And let's try this little string bow here. We have that one. We create a drop shadow, another one. not so far away, and also a little bit less blurry, and also opacity, okay. Create layer, and we press Command T, and now we move the little, you can see this little cross here in the middle, and this is movable. Wherever you move it, this is the point where your frame turns around, okay? So you should move it to the middle point of your element, okay? And from that point on, you move the shadow as well. So let's turn that a little bit around. It's not much what you need to do, okay? Again, we press Command T, the transformation tool, and now we push everything a little bit to the middle, that the shadow isn't visible much in the middle, and on those ends here we're gonna move it a little bit more. Okay, so this is it. What you also can do, if you want to have it much more realistic, do a second shadow, because when you look at something, you always have a wide distance and a near distance shadow. So this is what you can create with the second shadow layer, and the near one needs to be, I'm on the wrong layer over here, drop shadow. Okay, here it is. So we need the distance, less distance, but darker. Okay, we can create a layer. So you have, let's zoom in. Here it is. And also here you can a little bit, now we move that one. And try color burn, linear burn, yes. So you have here on those things where it's covered the one layer with the other layer, so it multiplies a little bit more than usual. And this darker shadow shouldn't be far away, it must be very near your element. So this is it. This is another one. Also link them together, and you place it here on top, and that one on top. So you have that one. Okay. The flower here. That's a little bit tricky, because there you need to take really care, because you have those fine lines, and in the middle this area where the flower covers a lot of the surface. So we have that drop shadow, and I would recommend here not to use it to make the shadow too blurry. So the size shouldn't be high. Also the distance, because the farther you go away, the more fuzzy it looks. So you should really stay all very near on your element with the shadow. Press OK, create a layer, click on it, and only a little bit move it around. Not much. And also now you can transform, and only a little bit the edges here outside. Try to, not much. And here. And here. And I think the shadow itself is still too dark. Let's push everything more in the middle. So this is now your shadow, and let's try a little bit on the opacity. And I think 30, we have now 31%, and that's totally enough for this shadow. Especially here on this frame, you can see that it gets really a nice effect now. Okay. A total different way, especially if you have a little bit of a frame, are creating a frame with a filter called Wave. But first of all, we need to make a copy of the layer, pressing Command J. I turn off now the original layer with the frame, go press Command U, and then we make the shadow dark. And then we go to the filter and choose here, maybe we try lens blur. Let's see what happens. That's too much. But you can also use Gaussian blur. And you also can add later, at a later time, the blur. But I like to start now with that blurriness. Okay, so this is the shadow now. Move up, and this is how it looks now. Now you have chosen the layer with the layer, and you go to Distort and choose Wave. Now we have some of those. Need to turn that off. And I have somewhere this is my info, and this is what you should maybe write something somewhere down, because Distort, Wave. Okay, here we are. And we have 5 here. And a little bit more. And let's see what happens. It's not much. Let's zoom in. I'm gonna make, but it little bit moves now the shadow. This is also a way. The same you can do with the distortion transformation tool here. Push the outer edge inside. Okay. Sorry. Over here, we push it inside. It doesn't matter what happens inside the frame, because you can delete that later. But you can move that here or here. And this is it. I'm gonna show you. So this is it. This is how you also can create one of those nice edgy shadows with frames. If you have a plan, if you have a paper, or if you have one of those Polaroid frames or paper frames, so they only need a little bit of lift on the corners, and this is what the shadow then does. If you want to make it perfect, go onto the frame, click with the right mouse and select pixel, so the frame itself is selected. And now you can choose the blur tool. No, it's not the blur tool, it's the sponge. Where is my this is when you change your Photoshop extension, arrange workspace, default. Okay, here it is. we have here the dodge and the burn tool, okay? Go to the burn tool and make your brush very big. And you need to have the midtone selected. Now what you can do now is move softly here on the edges, and it little bit gets darker. Only at the outside, not much, only a little bit. Here, and slowly it starts really to lift up the edge, the corner. And if you go up with the exposure and go down with the size, you also can burn the edges more. So this is it, and now you have a little bit of an aged frame now. And if you have some of my brushes, this is what you also can do. Do some splat-ons, maybe some, use this brown, a little bit of those, change here to color burn. And also that, you can see how you change such a frame and create your own one. So this is it. A little quick tip about shadows and how to use them and how to make them looking more dynamic. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're gonna see us sure in the next video. Have a good time. Bye.